Monday, August 28th, 2023, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today we're going to look at history, the history of the dollar, of gold and other currencies. We're going to dissect the dollar index. There seems to be a misconception that the dollar is top dog, even from professionals in the financial industry. Some people think that the dollar and gold are the ultimate store of value. I would say gold is the ultimate store of value, not the dollar. And history. Why history? Because it's important to see where the dollar has come from, where gold has gone, and where even other currencies have gone versus the dollar. So, yeah. That's what we're going to look at today. Before we do that, just wanted to let you know that gold investments, they still have the 1% offer deal for 1 ounce gold Krugerrands. So they're charging only 1% over spot. And by using my promo code Maneco64, you pay 0.5% over spot. Of course, they have all other coins and bars, if you're interested. And gold investments, they will ship anywhere in the world. So if you're even in the EU and you want to buy gold, you can do it, or anywhere else. In the US, of course, I've got my affiliates, ITM Trading, and Miles Franklin. If you're looking to buy gold or silver, check out the description of this video. All the details are down there. So I was looking at this post on LinkedIn by Tavi Costa, and you know that we've been following the price of gold in yen very closely because it's reached an all-time high above 280,000. And Tavi has noticed that, yes, part of the reason this is happening is, well, there's two reasons. The dollar price of gold has gone up this year, and the yen has dropped versus the dollar. So that's like a double whammy. So as you can see here, gold price in Japanese yen terms. And he thinks the Japanese yen is just an early mover. And that's correct. I agree with him. All currencies are going to sink versus gold, including the dollar. And by dollar, I mean the fiat dollar, because we all know that a real dollar is this. This is a Morgan silver dollar. But anyway, I went through the comment section and there's someone here from the DowTheory.com, Manuel Blay, and he says, it is a tug of war between gold and the USD, the two ultimate stores of value. Eventually, one of the two will prevail, but the timing of this event is unknown. Clues will be given by the price action. Why am I laughing? Because he hasn't done his research. So I replied, of course, and here it is. I said, the dollar has lost 98% of its value versus gold since August 15th, 1971. So it is not an ultimate store of value. So there you go. Someone else said, well, bad news for mattress stuffers, I guess, replying to me. And he goes on to talk about investments. And what I'm talking about here is currency and money, not investments. And it's one of the reasons why wealth inequality has grown so much, not just in the United States, but in Britain, in Europe, and Japan, and other countries. Because, yes, investments have done well. Not in terms of, in terms of dollars or other stuff, other currencies. That means the currencies have gone down. But the average populace there, the average man, average woman on the street, they can't build up savings and investments because the currency that they're paid with, the money that they're paid with, constantly devalues. But I want to show you some charts here, very interesting because yes, the Japanese yen looks very weak versus the dollar. It's almost at 150. The dollar index actually hasn't really done much since 1973, which is when it was created. It was in March 73. It's gone from 100 to around 104 now. But you'll be surprised to know that the dollar has not been the ultimate store of value. Not even it has even lost the race versus other fiat currencies. So what I'm going to start with is the price of the dollar versus a gram of gold. So usually when we look at the price of gold, we look at XAU USD. So it's how many dollars you get for an ounce. But here we're going to see how many grams you get for a dollar. So it's the opposite. And this is from fxtop.com. So you can go into that website and play around with it. I suggest you go into historical rates, and then from there you can do the pairs. So we'll first go against gold. So as you can see here, the dollar has lost 95% of its value versus a gram of gold since March 1973. And I picked that date, March 1st, because that's when the dollar index was created. And the dollar index, of course, prior to the euro being created in, I think, 1998, or actually 1999, the major components were like the Deutschmark and, yes, the Japanese yen, pound sterling. But now they've put the whole of the euro basket as the top weighting. I would argue that if the euro wasn't around, the dollar index might be different because the Deutschmark, I think, in my opinion, would have rallied a lot more. It's been put together with some really crappy currencies, and this is a subject for another video, but I think there's been a deliberate economic war against Germany. And why do I say that? Well, because Germany reunified back in early 90s. The French weren't too happy. And it was a bit of a mess in the beginning because they had to absorb East Germany. They absorbed the Ostdeutschmark, which diluted a little bit the mark. They had to run deficits for many years. But prior to 2020, and that's an interesting year, isn't it? Prior to 2020, Germany debt to GDP was below 60%. It was running budget surpluses, and its economy was doing well. And lo and behold, now it's a basket case. Yeah, the German governments have a lot to be blamed for, but they've been pushed, in my opinion, not just in 2020, but last year vis-a-vis Ukraine. But that's another topic. So let's look at the currency separately, because yeah, the dollar index has gone up 4% in 50 years, which isn't that much. But if you look here, and I'm going to start with the Swiss franc. And why is that? Well, because if you really want to look at the ultimate store of fiat value versus the dollar, it's the Swiss franc. Because as you can see, since 1973, the dollar has dropped 72% versus the franc. Back in 73, the dollar used to buy more than 3 Swiss francs, and now it buys less than 1. So we're going to continue here. Now we're going to do the dollar versus the Deutschmark, and you can still do that because the euro is just a basket of legacy currencies. So it's always quoted here, the Deutschmark on this page. So the dollar has lost 36% versus the Deutschmark. So much for USD being in a competition with gold for the ultimate store of value. The dollar has been the ultimate form of payment. It's been used worldwide, mainly because of the petrodollar deal, and mainly because, people are forced to use it. That's right. But now with the BRICS, I think that's going to change. And I'm not saying the BRICS are going to have a gold-backed currency, but they're going to use their own currencies to trade. But anyway, so we lost 36% there versus the Deutschmark. So we move on versus the Japanese yen. Even against the Japanese yen, actually the Japanese yen has performed better than the Deutschmark because the dollar has lost 45% of its value versus the yen since 1973. Back in 1973, at one point, you could get more than 300 yen for your dollar. Now you get about 146, which is compared to that level of 80 a few years ago is a lot more, of course, but historically it's not. So let's keep moving on. So here are the currencies that actually have helped the dollar look good, so to speak. British pound, the dollar has gained 98% versus the British pound since 1973. Is it any wonder that the UK economy is in the doldrums? We have debt up to here, and people still talk about Brexit or the Conservative Party or the Labour Party. I think it's a combination of everything. It doesn't matter who's in power. It doesn't matter if you have Brexit. They just have an inflation policy here in the UK. And that's what it's all about. I've got another one here. Well, I've got the Canadian dollar. So I've got the dollar versus the Canadian dollar. And actually, the dollar has gained versus the Canadian dollar, 37%. So, what I'm trying to say here is that don't be fooled in the short term by the noise, by the talk of King Dollar, the milkshake theory and all that. Ultimately, not just the fiat dollar, but all other fiat currencies are going to go to zero. And why is that? Well, because ever since 1971, they've been forced to inflate in order to keep up with the US inflation. And that's what's happened also to emerging markets. And that's why they want to get away from the dollar. Will they really stop inflating the BRICS and whatever other countries get added onto the BRICS? I don't know. It would be great if they did, but knowing politicians, I wouldn't hold my breath and wait to find out. And that's why I keep telling people, and this is not me who said this, it was Jim Sinclair years ago, that you need to be your own central banker. Have a little bit of gold if you can for long-term savings, and silver as well for savings, but not as long-term. Silver is a little different. And hard assets, tangibles, real things. And yes, you might want to invest in businesses. That's what the stock market is, even though sometimes it becomes highly speculative. But that's up to you to decide and do your own homework. Not me, but all I can tell you is that dissecting the currencies here shows me that the dollar is not an ultimate store of value. Anything but. If you really want a fiat store of value, you have to look at the Swiss franc. And even the Swiss franc is lost versus gold. So, yeah, there you go. That's what I wanted to talk about today. So with that, let's quickly look at the markets. I would say the markets early on are going to be fairly quiet in Europe because it's a bank holiday here in the UK, so the city of London is closed. It's still an important financial center, not just for the UK, but for the EU and the rest of the world. But things are trading anyway. We've got spot gold at 19.15. It's basically unchanged. The high's been 18, the low 14. Silver's down about 7 cents at 24.14. High's been 33. And we're right near the lows here at 20. The low's been 24.12. Dow futures is up 97. Nasdaq 100 future up 30, and the S&P is up just under 8 points. To the currencies, sterling is unchanged, 125.84. The euro is up 0.2 at 108.15. The dollar is up slightly versus the yen at 146.43. And the dollar is unchanged versus the yuan at just below 730. Let's check the ruble. The dollar versus the ruble. Dollar is up 1.8%, 95.72. Aussie dollar is up slightly at 64.08. The dollar is down slightly, just around 136 versus the Canadian dollar. And the Kiwi dollar is unchanged, trading around 59. To the general commodities, we've got WTI crude up 1/3%, trading just above 80. Brent is up 1/8% at 84.15. Platinum is down a couple of bucks, trading around 945. And high-grade copper is unchanged at 378. We'll quickly look at the U.S. Treasury market, overnight market. The 10-year yield is down 1 basis point at 4.23. The gilt market is closed, of course, for the bank holiday. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a great start to the week. Take care. Bye.